Another week, another set of Purple Demons taken down by the Longhorns. Playoff baseball is officially underway, and it's Red River Showdown time in Dallas. All this and more on College Crossfire.
Yes, we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable. Hard nose.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, right? And then one of the Texas team was going to lose.
Cannon. I don't like the cannon.
Oh, you don't like this guy? All right, I'm done.
This is all chaos.
Welcome into College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jonathan Polasek, and we've got a great show for you tonight. We're welcoming in a veteran crew now, so let's start with our returning champion, Clark Dalton. Clark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Just looking forward to building upon the momentum I had from last week.
Let's see if he can go for 2 in a row. We've got women's basketball guru, Daniel Shih. Daniel, how you doing?
How's it going, Jonathan?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And last but not least, it's Turner Barnes. How you doing?
I feel good, but I'm up against some really tough competition here.
Let's go, T-Bone.
I'm excited.
Tough competition, but it's going to be a great show no matter what. So I'm glad to have all of you here on tonight, so let's just jump right on in. So although Texas beat Kansas State this past weekend in Manhattan, they did fall back 1 spot to 19 in the newest AP rankings. This may be because while the Longhorns started off hot against the Wildcats, they were shut out in the second half. So is there any reason to be concerned heading into the Horns' matchup with the Sooners? Clark, let's start with you.
I'm concerned to a certain point. I'm not in a full panic mode. There is only one thing Texas needs to correct. It was the penalties that cost them the game, particularly in the second half. That's when they started to increase. They had 10 penalties for 104 yards. That took a lot of opportunities away from the Longhorns, and that put the ball in the hands of Kansas State, giving them more offensive possessions. If the Horns can manage that this week, they should be fine.
Yeah, and Kansas State, they didn't have any penalties.
Exactly.
Or at least any penalties that Texas accepted, so big disparity. Daniel?
Well, I think going into any weekend, until Texas is back, I'm going to carry every concern I can going into each Texas weekend, because the last thing you want to do is overrate a Texas football team again. Texas only scoring 19 points, giving up 14 to a Kansas State team which is in bottom 3 in the Big 12 right now, and you're going into an OU team who's 7th in the nation right now, a legit playoff contender with Kyle Murray and all these great receivers. Honestly, the biggest concern for me is the Texas secondary, which couldn't stop Kansas State's passing game in the second quarter. And you're going to go against Kyle Murray, who already has an MLB contract. So it's that's the largest concern for me, Texas secondary.
Yeah, it seems like Chris Boyd got beat a ton against Kansas State. Let's see if that can be corrected going into Dallas. Turner?
You know, I'm not really concerned at all. In the first half, as we talked about, they had a special teams touchdown, a safety, and an 89-yard touchdown drive. That's pretty good. The second half, they come out a little stale, you're right, but Kansas State wouldn't let them have the ball. The Longhorns only had 4 drives. One of them was a 10-play drive that ended in a missed field goal, and one of them was an 11-play drive that lasted 4 minutes and ended the game for the Longhorns in victory. And so I'm not really concerned. I think this game is a lot like Tulsa, where people will see the final score and make assumptions instead of watching the actual game and making conclusions from what they saw.
Yeah, Kansas State did control the ball. That's what they want to do with literally every team that they play. And so Texas really didn't get the opportunity to score, but still offensively they struggled. So Clark, I'm going to go with you because the big issue, though, is the penalties. 10 penalties for over 100 yards while the opposition has none. That's absolutely unacceptable, and that's not going to cut it against Oklahoma. So moving on, the offensive struggles against K-State in the second half were obvious, but a key member of the offense was missing. Offensive coordinator Tim Beck missed the game because of an infection, and the Texas offense only put up 10 points by itself. So did this game show the importance of Tim Beck, and was he really the cause for the lack of offensive production? Daniel, let's start with you.
Well, Texas went into the K-State game averaging 31 points on the board, and they scored 19, and only 7 of them are offensive points. I think that's a pattern. That is not just, they had an off day. Well, yeah, they had an off day because their offensive coach is not there. You see how Tom Herman throughout the game, when the camera is on him, he just doesn't look comfortable like he did in Texas Bowl. And when one has such a big relief at the end of the game, we all saw that shot, right? Like he was like, well, finally, the game is over. You don't do that when the offensive system is yours, when you are the one who built it. He was more like, oh, I did not mess this up. We still won this game. I didn't mess up any offensive momentum. Well, he kind of did. But as he actually said he went conservative in the second half, which is it's a sign of that is not his offense. That is Tim Beck's offense. And until the guy who built this offense is riding the ship, the offense will never be the same. So I think this game actually proves the value of Tim Beck on this coaching staff.
Yeah, you need your offensive coordinator there. I don't care if Tom Herman is an offensive guru. He hired Tim Beck for a reason, and not having him there was a big blow. Texas did leave some points on the board, so, I mean, Sam Ehlinger had some overthrows that kind of contributed to it, but hopefully that changes coming up in Dallas. Turner?
I mean, I agree. Tim, it's always nice to have your offensive coordinator. But I think the question is a little off. I don't think Texas has an offensive problem. They're scoring 28.8 points a game, and that's with a few missed field goals that are bringing them down a little bit. This Texas offense has the ability to have big plays with Colin Johnson and Lil Jordan Humphrey, and they also have the ability to drive long drives that run out the clock with a good running game. And I think people, kind of like what I said a minute ago, just because against Tulsa you score 21 points and then don't score any in the second half, and then against Kansas State you don't score any points in the second half of that game, that's 2 halves out of, 5 games that they've played. I think if you have 2 halves, every team's going to have a bad half. But look at other games such as USC. They scored a bunch of points. The offense was clicking the whole time. So, yeah, Tim Beck's important, but I don't think that Texas has an offensive problem, so I'm kind of having a hard time answering the question in that way.
They're just going to have to make sure that the offense clicks all 4 quarters against Oklahoma this weekend. Clark?
Fine points, gentlemen. I'm going to defend Tim Beck here because this game absolutely proved his value as an offensive coordinator. He's often been criticized in the past for being too conservative. But the reason Texas has been so conservative is it comes from the top at Tom Herman. He said directly in an ESPN interview this summer, I want an offense that attacks downhill first. So that's why we see this conservative play calling sometimes and not those shots down the field. And it works in the past. In 2016, when Tim Beck was at Ohio State, they had the 13th best offense in the entire nation, averaging 40 points per game. The reason why it hasn't clicked at Texas just yet is you're working with different personnel who are trying to learn the offense.
I mean, that's a great point. Different personnel is not what he had at Ohio State. But you know what? I'm going with Turner with the point. I don't think the offense really has that much of a problem. They've put up points all year long for the most part. It's just a matter of putting it together for 4 quarters. And against Kansas State, they showed maturity at the end of the game to ice the game. So, Turner, we're getting you the point. And let's fast forward to this weekend. It's one of the biggest games of the years for the Longhorns. That's right. It's the Red River Showdown. Texas and Oklahoma meet for the 113th time at the Cotton Bowl this Saturday, and there are Big 12 and playoff implications on the line for both teams this year. So, with both teams ranked, what is your Red River Showdown prediction? Turner, let's start with you.
Well, I'm done with high-scoring predictions with this Texas team. I've done it the past few weeks, and it's always come back to bite me. This Texas defense is too good. And speaking of defense, Oklahoma has not seen a formidable defense yet. And so I think that's going to cause them a lot of problems. Texas has a really good pass defense, a really good run defense. And so I think if Texas can control the pace and limit, not eliminate, because Kyler Murray is way too good to completely eliminate the big play from him, but just limit the big plays that Kyler Murray can make. So we got a recipe here. You take one big serving of solid defense, throw in a little bit of good running game to control the pace of the game, sprinkle in the little dash of big play from Colin Johnson, Lil Jordan Humphrey, bake for 3.5 hours, and what comes out? A perfect Texas win.
Let's go, baby!
24-0.
Ooh, look at the shutout.
No, I'm sorry, 24-20. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
okay, I was a little concerned there.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. You get that nice aroma, and you taste it, and it gets that bad Maryland taste out of your mouth from the first week.
I like it, I like it. Let's see if Texas proves you right. Clark?
Turner, thank you so much. Texas, 24-19, but here's why. There's one team Oklahoma struggled against this season. That was West Point. West Point runs an offense called the triple option, and it's basically where you have the quarterback act as a runner. Guess who we have? Sam Ehlinger. He's got some wheels on him. Keontae Ingram averaged 6 yards per carry last week. That's why Texas is going to win this game. They can control the pace. Also, Todd Orlando, only defensive coordinator in the nation, told Lincoln Riley's offenses under 30 points.
It's a matter of Texas playing keep away like Army did. So let's see if Texas can do that. Daniel?
Well, they make good points, but OU has a great quarterback. He already has an MLB contract. Great arm, great speed. They blew Baylor away last week. But you know what? Texas is going to win. Texas is going to win. You know why? Because OU sucks. That's why.
You know what?
You know what? OU, see, we have a hook'em sign, but they don't have a sign, so I'm going to make one for you. And the last thing you want is have an Asian guy make a hand sign for you. This OU, going down. It's going down. It's going down. OU sucks. That's it.
You know what? You know what, Daniel? I'm giving you the point. You came up with your own hand sign, and I like it because it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Texas is going to win this game. But when we return, we're talking divisional series matchups, and hockey season is just about to get underway. Stick around.
Very nice.
That was
Very
creative.
nice.
I like that.
That was great.
Welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's remind everybody at home of the score. Clark with 1, Daniel with 1, Turner with 1. It's all tied up. So you know what? Let's just jump right into the next set of questions. Playoff baseball is officially underway. The Rockies and the Cubs duked it out in an epic extra innings wildcard game last night, with the Rockies coming out on top to face the Brewers. Tonight features the Yankees and the Athletics fighting to face the Red Sox. The other two matchups include Braves-Dodgers and the Astros and Indians. So which divisional series matchup carries the most intrigue? Clark, let's start with you.
I'm going to say whoever the Red Sox face, because the teams that are in this series all have historical implications, and that's when it's great in October. It's those traditional powers you see. Between the A's, Yankees, and Red Sox, each has 44 World Series combined, and all of them are playing well. The Yankees have Aaron Judge and Juan Carlos Stanton. The Red Sox have 108 wins, which is one of the highest in franchise history. This could be the best team in Red Sox history, and the A's have won 34 of 53 games. So the storylines behind this series are too intriguing to not pay attention to.
Definitely intriguing. The A's with the lowest payroll. The Red Sox, they have this season. They do
Moneyball,
have the
Moneyball,
most wins in team history. So it's definitely going to be a good matchup, no matter who wins the wild card game tonight. Daniel.
Well, I think anytime you have a Lakers-Celtics kind of matchup, or sometimes a Giants-Cowboy, to some extent, those kind of matchups, it's always much greater. It's always better than the other matchup. So assuming that the Yankees will win, which they're up 2-0 as we speak right now, and they beat the Oakland A's in the wild card, that will be, I think it will be the most intriguing matchup this year. It's just that much greater. And when is the last time that two teams that has 100 or more wins meet in the first round in the divisional? I can't remember that ever happening. And also, like, when you see in the first half of the season, when the Yankees are going full strength without much injury setbacks, the two teams are very even. They never swept each other in the first half of the season, and it was a great game. It was a great series all along, and I think it will be a great matchup between the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Definitely a great matchup. Lots of tradition, and it's just two super teams going at it. Turner.
The Red Sox, Yankees, Red Sox, A's, they would be great matchups. But the question is, what's the most intriguing matchup? The definition of intriguing is arousing one's curiosity. And for me, the most curious and interesting the matchup is the Rockies versus the Milwaukee Brewers. Two teams that haven't been in the playoffs for a long time. They both have electric lineups. This is going to be a very high-scoring series with two teams that haven't been in the hunt for a while now. And so I'm interested to see where that will lead. You got the Rockies who have Blackman, Arenado. Freeman is a great starting pitcher. Wade Davis, one of the best closers in the game. And on the Brewers side, you have two former Royals who won a World Series, Lorenzo Cain and Mike Moustakas, Ryan Braun and Christian Yelich. This is going to be a great series, and it's sparked my interest for sure.
Yeah, it looks like you've got the NL MVP in that series with Christian Yelich. It looks like he's taking it home this year. But I'm going with Daniel, Red Sox, Yankees. There's just too much tradition, too much history, and it's just two powerful lineups going head-to-head for hopefully 5 games. I want to see 5 games of this. So, Daniel,
I want to see 7 games if I can.
it would be nice, but I don't think that's going to happen. So let's move on. Former Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield has done the impossible already. He led the Cleveland Browns to a victory against the Jets 2 weeks ago. He nearly pulled it off again against the Raiders, but came up just short. Overall, he's been a spark plug for the Browns. So let's do a little buy or sell. Baker Mayfield is going to lead the Browns to win the AFC North. Start with Daniel.
No, because OU sucks. New Hampshire. And again, Baker Mayfield beat the New York Jets. Great job, Baker. And yeah, like that's the only win you have. And let's not pretend the Ravens are not good. Like I get the Steelers are not great right now, but they did beat the Steelers in Week 1 when they had the most momentum. At least at that point of the season, when everybody thought they were a Super Bowl favorite and all that. And to beat an emotional-driven team like Pittsburgh going into that game with the Steelers being the heavy favorite and beating them, like basically punching them in the nose, I think that's pretty impressive. So I'll give the Ravens a little bit more advantage over Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, the Ravens have looked good from defense. Joe Flacco looks pretty good this year, but you also can't forget about the Cincinnati Bengals. They're firing on all cylinders on offense right now. I mean, I wouldn't count them out. Turner?
I'm glad you talked about the Bengals because I'm going to reference them in a minute, but absolutely not. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield isn't going to lead the Browns to a historic 5 or 6 win season. I'm just saying there's no way that they're going to win the AFC North. It's a very tough division. They have to play the Ravens, who, in my opinion, they're the favorite to win the AFC North. They're one of the better teams in the NFL. They have to play them twice. They have to play the surprisingly good Cincinnati Bengals twice, who have beat the Atlanta Falcons last week. Mm-hmm. That's impressive. They have to they have to play Pittsburgh again. And, Pittsburgh has this guy named Le'Veon Bell who will be on the team whenever they have to play them again. They have to play the Chiefs. They have to play the Falcons. They have to play the Panthers. I can't remember. They have met somebody else I'm forgetting. That's a really good team. There's no way that they win the AFC North. Baker Mayfield's a great guy. He's going to be the quarterback of the future for the Browns, but there's no way they win the AFC North this year.
It's just a very, very tough schedule. This year, perhaps not. Maybe in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clark?
We had a question on this like Tiger Woods last week where I kind of went the opposite direction of everybody. So I'm going to say Baker Mayfield will lead the Cleveland Browns to the AFC North this season. Here's why. Baker is perfect for the Browns. He's exactly what they needed at quarterback. He's different than the other quarterbacks they have. No, John Dorsey, general manager for the Cleveland Browns. Guess who he drafted?
Who?
Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
And Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football right now, arguably. Now, Baker, he needs to grow. He does need to grow. But that officiating in the Raiders game wasn't entirely his fault because that fumble was controversial towards the end of the game and that terrible first down call. And Baker has the charisma and edge necessary to completely revolutionize a culture. And Cleveland is starting to get the talent in place with guys like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and Jarvis Landry. And the Falcons and Panthers have struggled a little bit this season, so they can sneak a win there.
Yeah, but it's really a matter of does Cleveland have
can
enough
the Ravens
talent?
Stay healthy? Too.
Can the Ravens
another
stay
key.
healthy, but does Cleveland have enough talent right now? You mentioned a couple of players who are very talented.
Carlos Hyde
very
is a Pro Bowl
talented,
running back.
but is there enough? So you know what? I'm going with Turner. It's just the schedule this year. I think it's too tough. I mean, like you said, the Steelers, Le'Veon Bell's coming back, and that's not even to mention both the Bengals and the Ravens. So Turner, you're getting the point for this one. And so we're going to move on from cleats to skates. The NHL is back in action, and the Washington Capitals are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. And while the season is just getting started, it's never too early to look ahead to this season's Stanley Cup. So it's prediction time. Who's winning the Stanley Cup this year? Start with Turner.
You know, I like the Bolts. I like the Vegas Golden Knights, but I'm going to go a little bit, not too much of a stretch. I love the LA Kings. They got Drew Doughty, who's a cornerstone of that franchise. Jonathan Quick, a great goalie that they've had for a long time. And their main problem that they had last year, and especially in the playoffs, it was the scoring. They couldn't score. They had one of the lowest scoring in all of the NHL. Against the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round, they scored 3 goals total in their 4-game series. So what do? They address that in the offseason. They go get Ilya Kovalchuk, one of the greatest. He's a great scorer. Just came back from the KHL. He's a sniper. And I think they got the good coaching. They got the people to make a good run in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, got that offensive punch to maybe put them over the top this year. We'll see. Clark?
I trust Vegas, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs also won free agency this offseason with John Tavares. He had 34 goals last season and 78 points. And it was the second best offense in the NHL for the Maple Leafs. So with that addition, this offense is too good to stop, and now they're going to finally knock down the first round door they've been trying to knock over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, I think John Tavares could push them over the top, but it's a matter of how will he fit in with the rest of his teammates. Daniel?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I like the Vegas Golden Knights. I always love the runner-up the year before because they're hungrier. They're hungrier than every other team because the shame of losing at the very last series is just so much more than other teams. And also, they know how to get there. Like, they've been there before. It's just taking that one final step. And I think that's a great advantage over other teams in the league. So the only problem I have with that is Vegas is kind of under the radar. Now they are on the radar, so that's the only concern I have.
Yeah, it's a little too soon to see what's going to happen. Maybe if they're really going to come out and just guns blazing this year. I'm not sure. I'm going with Turner. He's getting the point. I believe that, honestly, the Kings, they're just a very well-rounded team, and they've added that offensive punch to really, really push them through the playoffs now. So great debate, guys. That's it for now. We've got rapid fire coming up next, so stick around. Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's time for rapid fire, but first let's remind everybody of the score. We got Clark with 1, Daniel with 2, and Turner with 3. So it's still anybody's game in rapid fire because each question is worth 2 points and you can jump in at any time. So let's start with some NASCAR. Everybody knows that it's just a bunch of left turns, but on Sunday, NASCAR had a fantastic race at the Charlotte Roval, which is a half oval, half road course. So I want y'all to design y'all's own racetrack.
360 degrees drifting, like in Fast and Furious style. If you add that element to NASCAR, it would be entertaining because it actually adds a skill component to it. Not that the driving isn't a skill component itself because there's so much of a physical requirement on the driver, but if you add that drift component, it adds another visual.
I like it. I like the drift. I like it.
You know what? I think they should do a race around UT campus. And they need to start on Speedway because we need to check how good those bricks are. Like, we need to check how good the quality of those bricks. So, you know, you come down Speedway, go up on the 21st, and then go around West Campus, see if they run into any bikes or lime or birds or something. And then they go thinking I-35, Martin Luther King. You'll get a great shot when the cars come like in front of the UT Tower.
It's like a little go-kart track.
I want to see more like a 3D, you know. So get some ups and downs, like a
and
roller
downs.
coaster. Get some change of elevation going in there. Some hard, sharp turns, maybe a loop-de-loo. That would be impressive. So just like more like a roller coaster style, like
Right.
3D instead of just two directions.
I like the loop-de-loop, but I also like the idea of just going around UT campus, having to dodge obstacles, dodging birds, dodging limes. So you know what, Daniel, you're getting the 2 points to start us off. So let's move on to baseball. You'd think after 162 games, ties at the end of the season wouldn't be all that common. But we had 2 NL divisions end in ties, Dodgers-Rockies and Cubs-Brewers. Both teams played in a 163rd regular season game to sort the tie, but the tie-breaking rules could have been more complex under different circumstances. So I want y'all to come up with a better way to settle divisional ties.
Home run derby.
Home run derby.
Home run derby between the teams. Whoever has the most home runs at the end of the season ends up, wait, no. Home run derby between the teams in a game. Their 2 best hitters, they just go at it.
All right, pure slugging, pure slugging. I like it.
You know, the players have been playing 162 games already. I want to see the coaches in action. I want to see the coaches wrestle WWE style, tag team. You have the first base coach, third base coach, the head coach, maybe some general manager too, and then just do elimination match. Who wins that match goes into the playoffs.
Just get them all in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turner?
Okay. You know, we're talking about sports here. Sports, grown men. You know, we're all men. We're men. We respect each other. So just how do men settle things? Rock, paper, scissors. Best of 7. Rock, paper, scissors. Pick your 2 best rock, paper, scissors players and just go to town. Best of 7.
I like it. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, but you know what? I like the home run derby. I just want to see 2 teams. I just want to see them slug it out. Just go for broke. Okay. So Clark, you're getting the 2 points. And moving on, it's the final rapid fire. It's still anybody's game, but let's move on. College Game Day is making its way to the Cotton Bowl for the Red River Showdown. College Game Day is known for a lot of things, including game predictions, most importantly, game day signs. So if you went to Game Day, what would your sign say?
Mine will be very, very simple. We want Texas A&M. I want that rivalry back. Coming into the U.S. in 2017 and not be able to see a Texas versus Texas A&M match really will be one of those regrets in my life if I don't see one. And I really, 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 really want to see a Texas versus Texas A&M match.
I'd love to see that come back too.
Yeah.
There's a classic John Wayne line where he says in a movie, "I can't trust a man." I don't know what the exact context was, but you could have a sign with John Wayne saying, "I don't trust a man who wears Oklahoma red."
Ooh, I like it.
That's
I
pretty
like
good.
it.
That's pretty good. You know, for my sign, I want something iconic, something that everybody will recognize as soon as they see it. And so I got my inspiration from my friend here, Daniel. All I want on my sign is the OU hand sign, upside down. Everybody
That's
will
right.
know what it means,
That's
and it's a
right.
classic. It is golden. That's what I want my sign to look like.
Using his own hand sign against him. Turner, you're getting the 2
Wow.
points, and you're
Wow.
getting the win.
Wow.
Taking it home.
Wow.
Sorry, Daniel, but I mean, it's just too good. No time for FaceTime. Sorry, Turner, we don't have time for FaceTime. I mean, that's all we have for tonight. Congratulations to our winner, Turner Barnes. Make sure to tune in on Mondays at 9:30 for College Press Box to catch up on the latest sports news on the 40 Acres. And tune in with us next Wednesday at 9 o'clock for more College Crossfire. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and master control, it's 9:30 p.m. and OU still sucks.
sucks!
I'm Jonathan Polasek. Have a wonderful evening.